Alright, welcome back. So this is the second one of our series on Daniel. This is verses 8 through 16. But Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine that he drank. Therefore he asked the chief of the eunuchs to allow him not to defile himself. And God gave Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the chief of the eunuchs. And the chief of the eunuchs said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who assigns your food and your drink. For why should he see that you were in worse conditions than the youths who are your own age? So you would endanger my head with the king. Then Daniel said to the steward, whom the chief of the eunuchs had assigned over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, test your servants for 10 days. Let us be given vegetables to eat, water to drink, and let our appearance and the appearance of the youths who eat the king's food be observed by you, and deal with your servants according to what you see. He listened to them in this matter and tested them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, it was seen that they were in better appearance, fatter in flesh than all the youths who ate the king's food. So the steward took away their food and the wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables. Alright, so Daniel, now we read in the last one that he's just been given a new name. He's now Belshazzar. And Nebuchadnezzar is beginning to try to indoctrinate them. But Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine that he drank. Therefore he asked the chief of the eunuchs to allow him not to defile himself. So there's a couple theories of why Daniel chose this. Because meat is good, right? Well, some people don't think that. But anyway, Daniel wasn't necessarily a vegetarian, but he wanted to distance himself from the king's food, and he was trying to be different, right? He was trying to make people realize that he wasn't like them. He didn't want to just kind of start compromising and being what they wanted him to be as a Babylonian, right? He wanted to keep God as his goal of living and have God as the point, right? And by stepping in faith and saying, hey, I'm not going to eat this. I'm going to do what my God calls me to do and be different than the world, right? By doing this, he takes a giant step of faith, right? He understands that this is something he was called to do. This is something he felt like he should do. And he did it. He talks to the chief of the eunuchs, and God gave Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the chief of eunuchs. That's amazing, right? So this guy works for the king, and God gave Daniel favor in his sight, right? So he liked Daniel, but the chief of the eunuchs said to Daniel, I fear the Lord my king, or my lord the king, who assigns your food and your drink. For why should he see that you were in worse condition than the youths of your own age? So you would endanger my head with the king. So the chief of the eunuchs is like, hey man, I mean, that's awesome, but what if you're in much worse shape, and just because I let you do this, the king would be really mad at me and probably have my head because I let you do this. So that's a fair point, right? I mean, he doesn't want to get killed. I mean, decent defense, right? Because eating just vegetables, right, you see the difference in people who just eat vegetables and the people who have a lot more meat and protein. Is usually they're a lot more healthy looking, right? So instead, we're going to see the reverse here, which is completely crazy. But Daniel says to the steward, whom the chief of the eunuchs had assigned over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, test your servants for 10 days. Let us be given vegetables to eat and water to drink. So Daniel kind of says, okay, we don't have to go all in yet. Give us 10 days of just vegetables and compare our appearance to the ones who have all the rest of the meat and wine. Let's see what happens. Let our appearance and the appearance of the youths who eat the king's food be observed by you, and deal with your servants according to what you see. So he's like, if this doesn't work, then we'll go back, right? That's not a big deal. But if it works, I mean, you should let us keep doing this. So he listened to them in this matter and tested them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, it was seen that they were in better appearance and fatter in flesh than all the youths who ate the king's food. So the stewards took away their food and the wine that they were to drink and gave them vegetables. So after 10 days, these guys, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, looked healthier, fatter in flesh than all the youths who ate the king's food, which is just crazy. So the steward took away the food of all the rest of them. So here you can imagine, if you're in their shoes, all these other guys are like loving their meat, loving their wine, living in royalty, and all of a sudden, these four guys just eat vegetables, and they're probably laughing at them like these guys are stupid, like, you know. And then all of a sudden, those ones look healthier, and the steward's like, huh, I think they look better. Let's take away the other guys' meat and wine. And they all probably were very upset. I probably would be upset in the same position. You can imagine them being like, what are these guys that they just eat vegetables and get us to only eat vegetables? And anyway, you can imagine they're probably not very happy. But again, Daniel is being different than the rest of these guys, right? They are healthier because God, that's totally God, right? Like, he's like, I know you want to do this, you're standing up for what's right. And God gives Daniel favor, and he gets healthier from it, and he still gets to stay different, right? He doesn't have to be compromising to this King Nebuchadnezzar and this Babylonian lifestyle. He still can live a Jewish lifestyle. He can still be different, and that to me is amazing, right? How God can use us wherever we are, in whatever circumstances. He can use us to be lights and just act differently, right? We don't have to have it all together, right? Being Christian doesn't mean we're perfect, but it means we have the Holy Spirit in us who is perfect, and that means we can live in a way that is not perfect again, but we can strive to be different from the world, and that to me is all we can do, right? So anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be back with the next one probably tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.